radio executive Sarah O'Connor gives advice to women on having a career in media. Sarah O'Connor has produced for the Ed Level Morning Show at Power 105 in New York City. She's also been a marketing director and music director at 100.3 The Beat in Philadelphia and a music director at WPGC in Washington, D.C.
When you start out in the business, you kind of don't know what you're doing. That's kind of how I was. I started out, and while I did mentor under a female, when I went to another station, I went to a station that was ran by men, so I was kind of lost. Like, this was like my first big gig. I'm a music director. It's at a very prestigious radio station, highly respected, and my bosses are men, and I feel like in order for them to take me seriously, I kind of have to be a little combative, I have to be a little argumentative, because it always seemed if I was too nice or too sweet, they stepped on me. Well, that later got turned into, she has an attitude problem. That phrase has followed and haunted me for my whole career. We want things to be right. If you're at an event and something doesn't look right and you know how to make it right, you want it to be that way. And a lot of times the guys are like, it's all right, it's okay, get over it. But if we argue the point or we push the point to make something better, or we have an opinion that we really want expressed, we're emotional. But if a man is passionate about something and he really wants expressed, he's just passionate. And there's nothing wrong with that. And emotional is, when that word rings out, if I hear that word, it's like the kiss of death. I remember my favorite comeback used to be, you do know that anger is an emotion too. Because when the guys get angry, it's okay. I'm like, so if I'm emotional, you're emotional. Guys get mad. I'm just over here debating a point. So emotional goes both ways, but the men don't see it that way. It's just, if you're kind of whining about it or talking too much about it. And if you're too argumentative, that's where the bitchy word comes in. If you don't do exactly as they want you to do or as they exactly say to do, oh, she's a bitch. These are the three phrases that are constantly used to describe women, and they're like trigger words for a lot of women, and that's why I'm telling you what they are, because of course as a woman you don't want to hear some guy look you in your face and call you a bitch. So those are fighting words. But you almost have to be creative in how you combat it, because the second you start arguing, that perpetuates the bitchy reputation, and now you're going to get tacked on emotional and you have attitude problem all clustered in. So you have to know these words and just don't let them set you off. And this is actually was told to me before I even got started, so it's not like this is something new. This is how they've been talking about women and describing women for years in media. If you go back a little bit to my resume, you'll notice that I traveled a lot. I pretty much stayed 2 years everywhere, and I kept it moving because I realized that you have to build up your resume and build up your credentials quickly to be taken seriously and to be taken like, oh wow, she's really something. I remember no one took me seriously until I came to New York. By that point, I worked at 3 major markets, and I had done a slew of jobs, and it wasn't until at least like my second year in New York, people were like, oh wow, you've done stuff. And at that point, I'd been in radio like 8 or 9 years, but no one took me seriously before that. So it's like you really have to get out there, improve yourself, and fight for that respect, but fight without really showing that you're fighting, you know what I mean? The other big thing that I see happen to women a lot is give everybody that you encounter at the radio station their respect. You're not going to like everybody. You're not going to like everybody you intern with. The way it is now, half of you guys probably hate your roommates. But they're there, so you have to give that person their respect, because the second you don't, that gets around about you too. Again, you don't really hear it that much with the guys. The guys by nature are a lot more easygoing, so if you guys don't like somebody, as guys, you're just like, I don't like you, it's no big deal, but you can still coexist with them. A lot of times as women, we don't want to coexist with that person anymore. If we don't like you, we don't want you around. And that gets around, and that's how people form opinions, oh, she has an attitude problem. Because if you don't like somebody, they're in your space, it just makes you tight, you're just like, oh. Well, immediately, attitude problem. And it could be something serious, like the person you don't like, stole $1,000 from you. Like, you might be very justified why you don't like them. Nobody cares. Women in media there's this perception that we're not supposed to get along with each other. 2 women in a room are never supposed to get along. And I know this has happened on a few occasions with me. I remember there was a situation where I worked with 2 women. The first one I didn't get along with just because we were just very different. That was just it. We just had a different personality. The second one I didn't get along with because she wasn't trained. Like, they literally just dumped her in a position, and it really wasn't her fault. They dumped her in a position, and they were like, okay, do radio. And so as I was telling her what to do, she was very resentful of it because she's like, no, I'm good, that's why they hired me. We later squashed our issues, but both of those women got terminated. So then it came out that, oh, Sarah doesn't get along with women. So when they hired the third woman, ironically, we became very good friends. So I'm like, okay, great, I broke the curse. Because everybody was already deciding I didn't get along with women. And they used to say around the office, well, you know two women can't get along. You know two women can't work together. So I break the curse with this one. We become really great friends. They have a problem with us being friends. Because now the issue is, Sarah shows her favoritism. She actually told me that the bosses told her not to be friends with me. And they don't do that to guys. Like, guys don't have these issues. Guys, you know, y'all did all the guys in this room could go out and have a great time. And nobody's gonna say anything about it. If all of the females in this room go out together, the guys would come back to us at work and be like, oh, I know when y'all got to fight. So as a woman in media, the rules are they're very gray. But what I have found is the best and the safest route for you to go is just professionalism, being professional from day one. You know, don't get yourself caught up in any drama, just being professional. And you will get sidetracked and you'll get frustrated because you'll see the guys being less professional and they'll be working less than you, but you'll see them getting ahead. And that'll be very frustrating for you. I've watched that over the years. I've watched many guys get promoted over me who didn't deserve it. I will say that karma does work its way out in the end. It's just frustrating because a lot of times you're not there to see it. But you just have to understand that as a woman, you just have a different path. As a female minority, you have an even more different path. And you just can't get caught up in sidetrack. If this is really what you want to do, there's going to be a lot of grinding for you. You're not going to get paid immediately. Like I said, I made $6 an hour to start. It's going to be difficult to start. I'm sure you guys have also heard about, you won't get paid the same as your male counterpart. I will say that hard work and perseverance, it does pay itself off later, but you really have to be in it for the long haul.